Let's see how this series decides to end the year. Our final Friends Forever comic of 2016 is issue number 35, starring Twilight and Starlight. When Twi plans a trip to the castle of the two sisters to find a heartwarming present for Celestia and Luna, she takes Starlight along with her, hoping that it would serve as a good friendship lesson for her. So does this issue cap off the 2016 run of Friends Forever on a good note? Hell no. Firstly, there's the argument that starts off the main conflict in this issue. I know people thought that the argument in PPOV was unnatural and forced, a notion that I personally don't agree with, but this one is way worse. The whole time I was thinking, there has to be something forcing these two to fight, cause there's no way they'd have a squabble over something this petty. Sure enough, that ended up being the case, and while it does explain why they were so quick to fight, it doesn't help. What makes this even weirder is that Twilight and Starlight try to reconcile for what happened, but it wasn't even their fault in the first place. Sure, the spores from that vine monster amplified feelings that they already had, but they wouldn't have escalated to the point that they did if the spores hadn't been there. So what are they apologizing for? Oddly enough, the story isn't even the least of this comic's problems. You guys already know my stance on Jay Fosgitt's style, but there's one particular flaw that this issue has over all the other issues he's done. The bad action scenes. In comics, one of the most important things an artist has to do is clearly communicate what is going on in the scene. A reader should never be confused about where the characters are in relation to one another or how big or small they are compared to each other. And this is especially important when drawing an action sequence. When characters are moving about as much as they are in that kind of scenario, you have to establish a sense of placement and scale. In other words, draw a background. Even Siege of the Crystal Empire, for all of its many flaws, got this right. Whenever there was an action scene, you could always tell where everyone was because there were consistent backgrounds. There was never any confusion about scale or location. But in Friends Forever 35's fight scene, instead of backgrounds, we have flat or gradient colors for most of the panels. And then the story brings size change spells into the mix, which just makes things even more confusing. Now I'm sure some of you are thinking that I just can't compare two completely different styles like that. But even when I only look at Fosgitt's work alone, it still doesn't hold up because he has done action sequences with backgrounds before, and they were much more effective than the ones in this comic. So he can apply this principle to his style because he's done it before. Combine that with some of the odd positions he puts the ponies in, seriously, what the hell is that? And you have what's probably the most awkward fight scene in the comics to date. Other than a nice callback to the Journal of the Two Sisters, Friends Forever 35 really isn't much to write home about. The story isn't all that interesting and the presentation drags it down even more. While 2016 was a solid run for the Friends Forever series, this comic sure didn't contribute to that. The first Friends Forever of 2017 will pair up Rainbow Dash with Soren. It's been a while since Dash was paired with another Wonderbolt, so I'm interested to see where this one goes. So what do you think of Friends Forever 35? Swarm that comment section below or bug me on social media, and consider supporting me through Patreon or PayPal art commissions. Until next time, keep it sketchy, folks.